Hello again, everybody, from Vintage Iron Range Dirt Track Racing. Today I am joined by Grand Rapids legend, Harry the Horsethief Johnson. Harry, it's very nice to see you. It's been many years since I've seen you. How have you been doing?
I've been doing well.
Good. It's good to hear. First thing I'm dying to know is, how did you get your nickname? Personally, I think the Horsethief is the best nickname in racing that there is. How did you get that nickname?
I've heard that before. A guy that used to pit for Paul Payne years ago named Bud Fossen had a nickname for everyone. He still does. And for some reason, he just started calling me Harry the Horsethief. Nothing to do with racing, of course. He'd just been watching too much Bonanza, I suppose. And maybe thought I was an unsavory character. So that's what he called me. That's where it came from.
So it just stuck from there?
Yeah.
Well, I can see why it stuck. It's pretty good name.
Yeah.
How did you get interested in racing?
Oh, from when I was a kid. My dad used to take me to the state fair, watch the big cars. They looked like sprint cars, a little bit longer wheelbase. It was pretty wild and woolly down there. They didn't have any roll cages. Guys were getting hurt and killed. And they raced for 6 nights every state fair, afternoons usually. I don't think they had much for lights down there. But it was really interesting, and it looked like super challenge. And I kind of got hooked on it then.
So guys getting hurt and killed was just somehow appealing.
Well, it's like, if nobody ever fell off Mount Everest, why would they do it?
Nobody'd ever climb it then.
Yeah.
So that is kind of probably what inspired your love of open wheel cars then?
Yeah, it seemed like real racing, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start racing?
1960.
Okay. What was your first car?
49 Oldsmobile Coupe.
And so then that was pretty much a traditional car, but then from that one on, you started getting into modifieds and sprint cars then?
Yeah, a couple 32 Fords, things like that.
Okay. What all classes did you race throughout your career?
Well, I suppose that Oldsmobile was the only stock car I had. Other than that, I had modifieds. They were all straight axle modifieds, not the kind they have now. And the rest were sprint cars from maybe 1969 or 68. They were all sprint cars.
And so what attracted you then to the open wheel cars?
Oh, they're fun to drive, and they don't take up much room in your garage. Easy to work on, and they go to beat hell.
So they're quite exciting.
They're fast.
What all tracks did you race at?
Oh, well. For a while, my regular tracks were Princeton on Friday night, Cedar Lake Saturday night, North Star Speedway and Blaine on Sunday night. Blaine fizzled after a few years. They wanted to build something else there instead of a racetrack. So that closed. Then I went out to North Dakota. I raced Grand Forks Friday night. I drive home from there and drive down to Brainerd on Saturday night, drive home from there, and then I drive to Glendon on Sunday night. I did that for a few years.
So you put a lot of miles under your belt.
Yeah, no sleep, and then I'd work on my own car all week till midnight, of course, just like any racer.
So if you want to run a sprint car, you got to hit the road.
You got to travel unless you live where they got sprint car racing, like Grand Forks, Sioux Falls, someplace like that, Knoxville.
What is your favorite track?
I like Grand Forks best, I suppose.
Why is that?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the people. North Dakota people just are pretty easy.
Very
they're
welcoming.
Not fussed about things. They just enjoy having a good time and love racing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like the track itself, I'm assuming, too?
Oh, yeah.
High bank, fast, bull ring.
Short track.
Okay. What all numbers were you when you raced?
I started out with 303 on my trusty 49 Oldsmobile. Then I had 75 for quite a few years. Then I changed to 26 for a while because that was my wife's birthday. Then somebody else had that number down Jackson, so I changed it to number 50, and I think I had that through the rest of my racing.
Okay. Why did you pick number 50?
I started at 0 and just started counting. As 50 was the first number I came to where I didn't know somebody that had that car. Well, that must be my number.
That's a pretty logical way to pick a number.
Yeah, yeah.
Who all do you remember racing against from your early years to the end of your career?
Well, early on it was Chubb Christie, Bob Jackson. Boy, there's a lot of those guys. Guys from Duluth that came up, Billy Nelson, Dick Wilhelm, Jim and Gordy Eliason, Ronnie Carlson, Cliff Coydell, Buddy Carlson, Doug Lord. Boy, there's lots and lots and lots of guys.
How about your sprint car? Did you race against any big names in your sprint car?
Yeah, I raced quite a few World Outlaw races when they came around Winnipeg and North Dakota, Grand Forks and Fargo. I was down Knoxville a few times, raced Sioux Falls a little bit.
So, like, you were out there with Kinzers,
Yeah,
Wolfgang,
yeah.
all them big names.
Yeah,
Okay.
I tried to stay out of their way.
They were quite professional, I'm sure.
Steve Kinzer and Doug Wolfgang and Sammy Swindell they had their own race every night. Everybody else was just ran interference. It was kind of who could get through the traffic first.
You're a member of the Hibbing Raceway Hall of Fame.
Yep.
You were inducted with R.J. Carlson and Tom Nesbitt in 2013.
Yeah.
Did you ever race against those guys at all?
I raced against Roger briefly, just as he was ending his career.
Okay. Are there any other Hall of Fames or anything like that?
Yeah, I belong to the Grand Forks Hall of Fame.
Okay. What do you consider some of your major accomplishments in your driving career?
Well, I think I was a clean racer, and always ran as hard as I could. I won some races, quite a few actually.
Did you win any point championships?
Yeah, I did. I won a couple of them in Grand Forks. I won some in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And I was around this area, I was usually in the top 5.
Okay. Did you ever win any specials or invitationals like that with your sprint car?
Yeah, I won a 4th of July race out in Mandan, North Dakota. I think that was the most money I made. I made $2,000 that day, and
Okay.
it was 102 degrees. Fried the tires right off the car. I won the race.
Did you have any good shows or races when you ran against World of Outlaws?
Yeah, the first time they came around up in Winnipeg, I think I got 3rd or 4th in the heat. I finished ahead of Steve Kinzer, actually. Tim G.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Yes. All the Outlaws had iron blocks in, so that was a really long time ago. The only person who had aluminum block was Tim G. He was an Eskimo from Alaska.
Wow.
And a really good guy. And I started on the outside pole of the feature that night in Winnipeg, and Lynn McIntosh, who was a good racer, sprint car racer from Winnipeg, a friend of mine, he walked up to me when I was sitting in my car on the outside front row. He says, "What in the hell are you doing sitting here? This is big time, don't you know?" I said, "I don't know. Here I am."
Well, so you're right up there with the professionals of the sport at the time.
Yeah, I lost my brakes early on. That's when I had that big block in the car, and the Outlaws were unlimited engines at that time. And I finished 7th in the feature.
That's not too bad.
And I didn't have any brakes for, oh man, way over half of the race.
When did you quit racing finally then?
1998.
Okay. What made you decide that it was time to stop racing?
Well, I'd had a couple of heart attacks, and after the last one, which was in 1996, I had bypass surgery after I had that one out in Grand Forks, and I worked out really, really hard all winter. I mean, as hard as you could. I had like 0 body fat and really, really good shape. And the first race of the year, next year, they had a sprint special in Hibbing. And I won the heat race, but in the feature, I probably should have won it. My car, I think, was faster than the guy that won it, but I got tired. And I thought, well, party's over.
Okay.
So I finished the year and then I quit.
Your physical health then started to
Yeah.
become more important than racing a car.
Well, if I could have done it, I would have. I mean, if I could have raced well.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to just drive around.
Okay. All right, well, this concludes part one with our interview with Harry the Horse Thief Johnson. Please stay tuned for part two.